2024. This is not a recording. All right. So we have about 162 days left in the year, after after today. That's about 52 weeks, take it all. It's 500,000 minutes, sounds like a lot of time, but believe it or not, just a few weeks ago, we're talking to some people, that only had a few minutes left in the year and they wanted to crush it. Okay. So what we're asking is to please give us 90 minutes of your full presence to master the 500,000 minutes that you have left this year. Okay. So that's 0.0001% of your time left in the year. So a very tiny fraction to really start 2024 strong with momentum. We believe here at the 12-week year that how you do anything, you do everything. So how you show up today is how you're going to show up the rest of the year. Okay. So you get what you put in. Please engage, be fully present. Some of you guys may be still on vacation. Some of you guys may have kids. Maybe you're at work. We're just asking you to please engage, be fully present. Studies show that we forget about 80% of what we read, okay? Some of you guys may have read the book. So today, all we're asking is your full present so that you can maybe remember a nugget from the book that you forgot, okay? We're going to go deeper than the book here. So please keep it positive or you will be kicked out, right? No promotions, no links, no AI. We want to protect you from scams, right? We want to protect your privacy. All right, that's why we do it. So our VIP sold out. If you enrolled in our VIP, you should have received an email with the link for that. If you haven't, please email us at angela@12weekhere.com. The VIP, Brian's going to start at 12:45 Eastern, right? 12:45 p.m. Eastern, 9:45 a.m. Pacific, okay? So lastly, guys, this is with the 12-week year, we believe that you can get more done in 12 weeks than most do in 12 months. But that starts today, all right? So who's ready to make 2024 their best year ever, your best year ever? Let us know in the chat if that's you. 12WY in the chat, 12WY in the chat. That's you. You're ready to make your, wow, the chat is flying. Yes, that's you. Brian, I think we got full engagement, full commitment here.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it back to you guys. That's it.
Yeah, so here's the thing. If 2024 is going to be better than 2023, you're going to have to do something different. You're going to have to take a different approach. And so we're going to give you an approach today that can virtually ensure that you hit your goals, you live your best life. That's what today's about. Michael, I think we have we're going to give away a bunch of stuff and a bunch of cool things today. So Michael, let's start with, you've got something you want to tell them.
Right? Yep. Yeah. So to get the most value, we want you to engage, stay through the whole program because we're going to be dropping a lot of content. It's going to be valuable. So we're going to reward action. We're going to give a free gift giveaway. We're going to give away a package that's worth about 11 grand when you add all the pieces together. And so what we're going to look for you to win that is for you to engage, ask some good questions, be open to the questions coming back at you, and really just add value to the chat. Not just volume, not just putting stuff in and getting your name out there a lot, but more just adding value and being vulnerable. We're going to be looking for that. In fact, Miguel, even though the chat's moving really fast, is going to be monitoring the chat to see those folks who are really contributing a lot to the conversations. And if you do that, we're going to select you as the winner of that $11,000 package. But the deal is you've got to stay to the end because Miguel's going to be announcing it at the end of the program. So stick around and hopefully you're one of the folks that has got a lot of value from the session and also gets the award. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, we want to give you every reason to stay to the end to get everything we have for you. So, all right, so let's jump in. Some of you know us, some of you don't. A little bit about our story. We've had the great fortune of working with hundreds of large companies, Fortune 500 executives, thousands of smaller, mid-sized businesses, tens of thousands of individuals. Over 2 million goals achieved so far to date and counting. And we want you to be part of that counting.
So I can see
the impact has been incredible for clients. The impact's been incredible for us too. I mean, we apply everything we're going to talk about today. We're practitioners of it as well as coaches and teachers of it. And so we know it works at a personal level. We'll share a few of those stories too. But again, my hope is you've come with big expectations because the 12-week year can meet or exceed those expectations. It's happened for, as I said earlier, tens of thousands of people just like you. And whether if 2024 is going to be a great year, it's because you started strong. And that's what today's all about. So it is a workshop. We're going to put you to work. Michael, you ready to jump in with some of that?
I am, right. So is everybody ready to get to work? If you're ready to get to work, go ahead and put yes in the chat. All right, lots of yeses. So I guess we're all going to get to work here. So what we're going to do is we're going to work on the 12-week year baseline, the baseline of your performance for last year. And so they should have gotten a handout from us. It should have been, and I think you probably put a link in the chat, although it's going pretty fast there, Miguel. But we want you to, if you don't have the workbook, you could just use a sheet of paper. It's fine. You can just look up on the screen. We're only asking for a little bit of information. And what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to write down your 2023 revenue or income results. What was 2023 like for you in terms of revenue and results for last year? So just take a moment and write that down. It doesn't have to be exact. We're not looking to report this to the IRS or anything, but just get close. And what was last year like for you? All right. So given how you performed last year, given your results from last year, I'd like you to rate 2023 on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the worst year ever, 10 being, man, I hope it happens again. It's the best year I've had. So 1 to 10, rate last year, a scale of 1 to 10 on your workbook. And go ahead and put those ratings in the chat like you're doing, 9, 2, 6, a lot of variation down there. That's good. Appreciate the honesty. And now what I'd like you to do is you're looking forward. So that's looking past, right? Looking at the past last year, taking some lessons learned hopefully from that. What are your 2024 goals though? Looking forward, what are your 2024 goals? Your biggest goals that you'd like to see happen for you in 2024? Just go ahead and write those down. You've got 1, that's fine. You up to 3, go ahead and put them in there. So what are your 2024 goals? 1 million. That's some good numbers in there. And as you think about that, now, progress year to date, this may be the first day back at work after the holidays, so that may be nothing. But we're just getting started, so you shouldn't expect that you've hit your goals yet. But we're going to track that for you. You're going to look at that over the next 12 weeks and see the progress you're making. But as you put down those goals, and you think about those big objectives for you in this year, I'd like you to think about what's going to be the biggest obstacle that might get in your way. What's the thing that if it doesn't go right, it's going to keep you from accomplishing your goals? What's your biggest obstacle as you look forward into 2024 that you face in accomplishing your goals? A lot of good stuff in the chat. Procrastination myself, time management, strategy, routine. Yeah. The great thing about it being yourself, you can change that stuff, right? If it's something outside of you, you can't change it. But look at the biggest barriers and write that down if you haven't already done so for you coming up here.
We managed to make Diablo by the play.
Putting those obstacles in the chat. I love that.
Awesome.
Well, I ask you a question, right? As you look at those goals you've laid out, what if you could do 50% more than your goals? What if you could double those goals, triple those goals in the next 12 weeks, in the next 12 weeks? But what if you could make so much progress that you've already hit your annualized goals at the end of this 12 weeks? What would be different for you? Now, I'm not promising that, but some of our clients have done that, right? Okay, Brian, you want to talk a little bit about how we can help them to accomplish some of those big goals?
Yeah. I'm looking at the chat, Mike, and it's interesting, right? The obstacles from procrastination to too many priorities to time management, fear, personal issues, lack of self-discipline, inconsistent. First time we've heard any of that, right? We've never seen those.
Yeah, I've never heard that before. Unique group.
Yeah. So here's the truth of that. That's the list that we typically get when we ask that question. And the truth of the matter is most of that stuff is not the core of what's holding you back. Look, I know it feels like the core, but it's not the core. It's a symptom of an underlying issue that is unresolved for you. And when you solve for the core, it takes care of those other things. Because some of you could probably list everything on that list, right? You've got the procrastination, you've got the too many priorities, you've got the fear, you've got the inconsistency, right? It's more than one. And that's because there's a core issue there that is unresolved. And when we deal with the core, when we solve for the core, those other obstacles that you pointed out go away. Even the ones that are internal, the self-doubt and the fear, which sometimes are the biggest obstacles. No matter what else happens, those things get in the way. It solves for that as well. The truth is you are capable more than you know. Your team's capable more than you can imagine if you have a team. And what we've discovered in working with thousands of individuals in large companies is that the core issue is a lack of execution. The problem is not you or your team. The problem is that you lack an execution system, right? You've probably got systems in your business, in your daily life, right? But the one system that most people lack is an execution system. Without an execution system, what happens is that you grind it out. So some days you execute and some you don't. And it's very, it creates the things you talked about. There's inconsistency. Without an execution system, there's fear, there's doubt, there's procrastination, there's too many priorities, there's lots of distractions. And so I want to give you some examples here to just bring this home a little bit. The first one I want to talk about is Eric Swift. Okay, Eric, we met Eric. He was working on his doctorate program, and he was 7 years into it. He had 7 years to complete the program, and he hadn't completed it. And so he asked for a year extension, and he did that twice. Okay, so the one thing about Eric is he's not a quitter, but people were saying to him, "Listen, Eric, you just need to give up on this because you just need to quit and move on with your life." Most people complete it in like 3 or 4 years. He's now 9 years into this thing, and he's got the first 3 chapters written, hasn't done the research, and he's feeling like a loser, feeling like he let down his family, let down his friends, let down his committee advisors and things like that. In fact, a number of the committee advisors were even encouraging him, just saying, "Look, Eric, this isn't going to happen, move on." And so Eric had literally 13 weeks left to complete the program, and somehow he got a hold of the 12-week year. And he read the book, he got fired up, he set the goal to complete the program. He also set a goal to lose some weight. And he went about it using the 12-week year. And what happened for Eric is he completed the program. He finished the research, wrote the remaining chapters, presented it, received his doctorate degree, and he lost 20 pounds. All right, took him what he couldn't do in 9 years, he did in 12 weeks with the 12-week year. He thought his problem was all kinds of, right, the self-doubt and all that stuff. What he was lacking was this execution process, this execution system. And he's just one example of how that works. Jody Lynch is another example. Jody's a terrific lady. We met Jody. She's had a successful business for years. But by her own words, she said we had kind of flatlined. She had lost the excitement. The organization had flatlined in terms of sales and performance. And she felt like her 2 big issues were, one, she didn't have good leads. May sound familiar. I saw that somewhere on there, not good leads. And the other was she didn't feel like she had the right staff. So she engaged in 12-week year. And what we did with her is what we did with everybody. We installed the system to deal with the core. And what happened for Jody is in a very short period of time, within 4 months, her new revenue was up 53%. 53%, right? She didn't have what she thought was the problem. The leads and the staff wasn't the problem. With the same staff, the same leads, she was up 53%. And she said the best part of it was the team was working together. We were collaborating. It was fun again. So she thought the problem was leads. She thought the problem was lack of staff. She thought, right? The problem was they lacked an execution system. And time again, that's the way it works. That's the reality of it. The fact of the matter is execution really changes everything. And think about that. Great ideas are not enough, right? Being really smart's not enough. Being well-connected isn't enough. You've got to execute. A great example is the diet fitness industry. In the US alone, it's a $200 billion industry, yet 63% of Americans are overweight or obese. I mean, do you really think they don't know how to get in shape? Do you think the average person doesn't know how to be more fit? I think everyone knows, and everyone would agree, an apple's healthier than a Twinkie. I think most people would say that grilled fish is better than a Big Mac. I think most people know that vodka is healthier than diet soda. That's a joke, although it may be, I don't know. But the fact is, the gap is rarely knowing. It's the gap between knowing and doing. In fact, if you just did more of what you already know in 2024, I'll tell you what, you're going to be healthier, you're going to have better relationships, you're going to make a lot more money. And it works for large organizations as well. I talked about an individual, Eric. I talked about a small company with Jody. Mike, talk about Encompass, because this is another example just showing that it doesn't matter what size you are, whether you're using it personally or you're using it in a big organization. The 12-week year.
So it scales up and down based upon what you needed to do to work for large organizations as well as for individuals. And one of the great examples we have of a large organization is a company called Encompass. It was $1 billion brokerage when we started working with them. And they came to us thinking that they had a problem with their business model. The business model wasn't working, and they wanted us to come in and help them make some changes to really make themselves more profitable again. They were losing money, and there was a lot of pressure on them. And so we came in and we did what we always do. We didn't change the business model. What we did was we installed an execution system without changing anything about the business model or anything else for that matter. And what ended up happening was they doubled their app count in the first 6 months of working with us. They doubled their app count. If you know anything about brokerages, app count drives their revenue. It's a direct one-to-one relationship. So they doubled their revenue in 6 months, not by changing the business model, but by applying an execution system. And the national sales manager that hired us came to us later. He said, it was amazing. Not only did we hit this big number, but also it solved a lot of our other problems. When we installed the 12-week year, it solved all these other problems that we weren't even sure how we were going to deal with. So by solving the execution problem for them, we solved a lot, not just the revenue problem, but a lot of the operational problems that they were having. And so we've got thousands of stories just like these, like Jody's and Eric's and like Encompass over the years, because what we apply is a system to help them to execute more effectively. Every one of our clients has learned to execute more effectively. And so one of the things we want to do is talk about how do we help you do that? Wouldn't it be great if we could just give you one thing, just one idea? Hey, do this one thing and everything's going to change for you. Unfortunately, there is no one thing, but the great news is there's one system, an execution system. And so, systems in general are powerful, right? What are the benefits of systems in general? As you think about business systems like marketing systems, selling systems, things like that, what are some of the benefits of systems in general? And put it in the chat. Execute more effectively. Systems always with consistently duplication. They save time, give you structure, give you more consistency. They're reliable. You can train, you can duplicate, things like that. Yeah, so systems make us a lot more efficient. They help us to get things done. And like I said, they got marketing systems, you got selling systems, you got HR systems, you got financial systems, because systems work. But the one system that almost every individual solopreneur and almost every company that we start working with, one of the systems that they lack is an execution system. Right? Most people have all these other systems, but what they fundamentally lack is that they don't have an execution system. So if you don't have an execution system, don't feel bad. It's not your fault. Most people don't, right? But the thing is everything that you do, everything you try to accomplish has got to be executed. It's the fundamental system that drives everything else. If you could execute well, just like Encompass found, it's going to solve a lot of your problems. It's not just going to solve the revenue problem or the hiring problem. It's going to solve a lot of the problems in your business, because it's going to help you to do more of the right things, more often, more consistently, which can change everything for you. And so most folks don't lack a marketing strategy or selling strategy, but what they lack is an execution system. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about that. Brian, you want to kind of kick that off a little bit about our specific system for execution?
Yeah, there aren't many execution systems out there. That said, 12-week year is different from all of them. And primarily because the 12-week year is a different way of thinking about your business, your life. It's a different mindset. And 90% of life is between your ears. And so your mindset matters. How you think about your goals, how you think about your capability, how you think about your year. Right. And so one of the things that we found is that in working with individuals and working with organizations is that, we're sitting here talking this morning about results. How do we get the results we want? There's a framework here I want to share with you that I think is going to be really powerful for you. If you haven't seen this, it's in our book and we talk about it often. But let me ask you this. In order to create a result, any kind of result at the most basic level, what do you have to do to produce any kind of result? Action. Yeah, you guys got it. Take some action. Maybe build a plan that's taking action, but to create some sort of result, we have to take some action. You agree with that? Yes? Looks like we do. We got lots of actions in there. Massive action. Okay, great. So in order to create a result, you have to take some action. Now, every time you take an action, does it create a result? Yes or no? No, yes, no, no, yes, 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 no, 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 yes, yes. Think about that. Every time you take an action, it creates some sort of outcome, some sort of result. Now, it's not always what we want, and that's why it doesn't feel like it created a result. But every time you take an action, it creates some sort of result, which is really helpful for us. We're going to talk about that later because that's how we can dial it in. So every time you take an action, it creates some sort of result. That's really powerful. The next question is then, why do you act the way you act? Why do you behave that way? And if you're like me, your spouse asks you that all the time. Why do you do that? But what are some of the things that factor? Look at you guys jumping on it. Habit, patterns. Yep, I like it. Fear, default. Boy, the chat's going so good. Panic. Yep. What else? Goals, education, training, upbringing, the weather, the traffic, right? All of that stuff. All of that stuff. Desires. All of it comes together to form our thinking. Our thinking drives our actions create our results. The truth is our thinking creates our results in life. And the reason this is so important, so powerful, is because we're pretty conscious of the actions, we're pretty unconscious of the thinking. Yet that's what's creating our future. And I saw one study said the average person has 50,000 thoughts a day. That's a lot of thoughts. And every one of those are taking a direction you want to go or away from it. I like to joke that occasionally a random one sneaks in. Like, why isn't phonetic spelled the way it sounds? But that's for you spellers. But for the most part, they're taking you one direction or the other. Here's the scary part. The study went on to say that on any given day, about 95% of those thoughts are repeats from yesterday. Think about that for a minute. Just sit tight on the chat and think about that for a minute. Right? How are you going to create a different result with the same thinking that's what? Going to drive the same action, going to create the same result. Albert Einstein said it this way. He said, we can't solve today's problems with the same thinking we use to create them. Yet that's how most people go through life. The 12-week year is a fundamental shift in the way we think and the way we act. And it starts with how you set your goals and how you build your plans. Because one of the things when Michael and I first started, we did what most people did. We helped our clients set annual goals, build annual plans. That's what we run quarterly, monthly, and weekly. And you know what? We got good results, but we didn't get what people were capable of. And we realized I had to do more with our thinking than anything else. And we just turned that annualized thinking. And at the heart of annualized thinking is this illusion that there's lots of time in the year. So it's January 3rd. Everybody's excited. Yeah, everybody's excited about a new year. It's a fresh start. They're thinking 2024 is going to be their best year ever. It is rare when you run into somebody in early January and they go, oh man, this year is really going to suck. That never happens. But we're going to get to the end of the month. And most people around the world are going to be behind their goal, behind the plan. But nobody's worried about it. Nobody's giving a thought to it. Why is that? Because the thinking says, we got plenty of time. We got 11 more months to catch up. And that mindset for me is here. We're going to be end of March. Most people are going to be behind. They're still not worried. Why? Because the thinking says that's plenty of time, 3 more quarters. And on until we get somewhere later in the year, October, November, and everything changes. Why are people, with more urgency at the end of the year than they do in the middle of the year? Why is that? Because that's deadline. Yeah, because there's a line in the sand, a point at which we're going to measure our success or failure. For most people, that's December 31st. Now, at one level, that's an arbitrary deadline, but doesn't have an impact. You bet it does. Right? As you get closer to that, your mindset shifts from, I got a lot of time to, oh, crap. And you start to push aside stuff that doesn't matter, and you work really hard to get over the finish line. Sometimes I do. But there's typically a big cost in that. There's a lot of stress. Sometimes we're stressed out. Our family, our co-workers, the organization. There's chaos in the middle of that. There's a lot of opportunity lost because of it. And sometimes we sacrifice the holidays and family. The one thing we start sacrificing, where there's all this capacity we left on the table earlier in the year. Because you may catch up and hit your goal. But you can't recapture the capacity you left on the table last week, last month, 3 months ago. And that's the difference between what you're performing and what you're capable of. So Michael and I saw that we said we got to get out of this environment. And we adapted a training process called periodization to work outside of athletic business setting and personal setting, and that's what 12 years was born. And so our clients are going to come in contact week 12 weeks as a year. And no, there are those of a year that's annualized thinking is just 12 year followed by the next and so on. And the more you embrace that you're thinking, the bigger impact it has on actions, the bigger impact it has on results. But I mean, think about that. Never a great 12-week year. How many have a week did you have? Not many. So you can find with the fact that, look, if my goals matter, then this week matters, this day matters, which is really critical because effective execution doesn't happen monthly, quarterly, semi-annually. It happens weekly, it happens daily. And so with a 12-week year, right, it confronts, it blows up that notion of lots of time. And what happens is it creates this focus on the things that matter most and a consistency with action. Not perfect, you don't need to be perfect. There's more consistent action on the things that matter most. And ultimately, it changes the way we think, it changes the way we operate. I mean, think about that. Everything around you is annualized. Right? We just started a new year. Anniversaries, birthdays, the government, everything's annualized. But that's a barrier. You've got to get outside of that because that just creates this illusion of too much time, and it's easy to put things off. You know, if you get a room full of people, be honest, they'll all tell you they all procrastinate to some degree. Well, part of that is because we're operating in these annual cycles. Now think about a 12-week year, where every 12 weeks is an opportunity for you to start fresh. Every 12 weeks is an opportunity to build momentum, build confidence, right? To be more consistent. And so it's an amazing way of operating. It creates better results. That's how we can say you can accomplish more in 12 weeks than you do in 12 months. It's not about working harder and longer. We're not talking about taking everything you do in 12 months and trying to cram it in 12 weeks. We're talking about a different approach. And so if you get this, type yes in the chat. Is this making sense? Okay. First takeaway today should be it's not enough to know you got to execute. Okay, you're going to get these value bombs. I want to make sure you get it. First one is it's not enough to know you got to execute. The second is you got to get out of this environment. Right? And so we're going to do that. We're going to help you shape that mindset because it's really powerful. When you operate on a 12-week cycle, it's so much more powerful. You build momentum, build confidence, you build much better results come online quicker, you celebrate more. I mean, it's a different way of operating, it's a different way of living. And I talked about earlier how we're practitioners too. Mike, let's talk about an example where we used it and literally changed our lives. Absolutely. And by the way, we use 12 years to run our business. We've been doing it 20 years, which is 12 years. We use the program we're talking about today. We wouldn't go out on it. And so the first example, or powerful personal example of applying the 12 years, we use the 12 years to write a book. And there's 85% of the population wants to write a book. Very few actually do it. We use 12 years to write the first book. And by the way, this picture of our first book is called Periodization. Now you may know the title has changed. People thought that was gum disease. But on top of that, don't go out and try and find this book because it's not out there. The new book's better. And it's called 12 years, but this is an example of how we use 12 years to change our lives. And the 12 year itself is still selling strong. And here's that published. In fact, just last week, number 35 on Amazon across all books. Number 35 top seller across all books available on Amazon. Last week, and this book was published 10 years ago. The reason it's so powerful, lasts so long, is this stuff works, and we use it to do everything else. And so we're here today because of the book we wrote, right? 12 weeks we changed our business, we changed our lives. And so this is an example of what's possible for you to what your big 12-year goal. This book right now is in 15 different languages. We were because of this book, we were labeled number one management training program by Guru. And we everything we do, we use this system to accomplish our results. We apply the 12-year execution in everything that we do. So that's an example of what's possible for you as well. What can you do in 12 months? What breakthrough result are you going to be still harvesting 10 years from now in terms of what you do in the next 12 weeks? Because that's what's possible. That's what we're encouraging you to do. Engage what's possible for you. Have your breakthrough in the next 12 weeks. Yes, whether you want to write a book, whether you want to start a business, build your business, build your career, lose weight, strengthen the relationship, whatever it is, the 12 week can help you do that and get there with impact quickly. So let's talk about the 12 week system because the first mindset shift is not enough to know. The second is getting out of the annual environment. But we build that with fundamental drive, execution, and high performance. And there's a set of 5 disciplines that we'll walk you through. And you're going to get a feel for it. All right, Michael and I are going to tag team you. So be sure you're taking notes, lots of notes at home. So five what we call disciplines that when taken together become a self-correcting system, meaning when you apply it as a system, you get better. Okay? So word of caution before we start, you're going to be familiar with these. There's a big difference, though, between knowing and doing. So we want to challenge you to think about how you leverage these, how you create more capacity around these, because when you do, your performance improves dramatically. All right. Discipline number one is vision. It's the starting point of all high performance. And I know when I say that, some of you go, "Oh, come on, I've heard that before." Of course you have, because it's the starting place. Winston Churchill said, "The empires of the future are the empires of the mind." And partly what he's talking about is we create things twice first mentally, then physically. And the biggest barrier is not the physical manifestation, it's the mental creation. And so most people that we run into that have done any vision work, it tends to be around their company, their department. With the 12-week year, that's not where we start. We start with your personal life. Because business is part of life. It's not life. What do you want your life to look like 3 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now? By the way, what would great look like? God willing, you're going to be here. Let's make it great. And then we look at your career, or your company, or whatever you're doing there. And so what do we need to do there to align and enable that personal vision? So that ultimately there's an emotional connection between the things, the activities you have in your plan, the things I have to do Monday through Friday, and this life I want to live. Because as I talked about earlier, if you're going to create a different result, you're going to have to do things differently and do different things. Amen? Can I get an amen in the chat? If you're going to create a different result, you're going to have to do things differently and do different things. Thank you. Amen. I can't get a witness. We'll do the altar call later. But the fact of the matter is, anytime you do that, right, there's a level of discomfort that comes with that. There's a level of uncertainty. There's a level of anxiety. Without a compelling vision of the future that's bigger than the present, it's too easy to do what I've always done. So when we've got this personal vision connected to this company vision, connected to the activities, now the things I do Monday through Friday is connected to a bigger why. And that's the key, a compelling why, where there's an emotional connection to it. So when it comes moment of truth on a Tuesday afternoon, when I'm supposed to do this activity, I don't shy away from it, I lean into it. Not because it's comfortable, but because I know if I do that, I'm going to enable the things I want in my personal life. Is this making sense? This is key. People come and they think vision's fluff. It is the cornerstone of anything you're going to achieve great in your life. If you can't conceive it, you can't create it in reality. All right. So we have different exercises to help you build a compelling vision, right? One that connects emotionally, one that keeps you in the game and keeps you moving forward and leaning forward. Otherwise, what happens is we do what we've always done, especially if we're successful. And then what happens is the marketplace moves on and we get left behind. All right, we're going to move through these pretty quickly, but that's the first discipline. Michael, number two?
Number two is planning. And one of the first characteristics about a 12-week approach to planning is that we're planning for a 12-week cycle. We're not planning for 12 months, right? And we're really focusing in on what we can get done in the next 12 weeks. And so that 12-week planning process makes it easy for us to adapt to what's going on in the marketplace, to move quickly, to really hone in and clarify our plan. So a 12-week plan is really a lot more powerful than an annualized plan. We're going to talk a little bit more about that as I go through this, but a 12-week planning cycle. So getting out of that annualized mindset of planning for a 12-month cycle, an annualized plan, because there's some real problems with annualized planning, and I'm going to talk about that in a second, but we want to plan in 12-week cycles. So we can have 12-month objectives that represent progress towards our vision, but we're not going to create a plan for the 12 months. The second thing, by planning in a 12-week cycle, what we have is we have an opportunity to become much more focused, right? So one of the advantages of 12-week planning is it's focused, and it's focused on the most important things that you need to get done in this 12 weeks. It's not everything you're going to do across the 12 months, but it's just the stuff that you're going to do in this 12 weeks. And so, there may be a lot of things you want to get done this year, but we're going to focus on the vitally most important things that are important right now for the next 12 weeks. So we're going to focus your plan in terms of the number of goals and the number of tactics that you're going to have in your plan. And that leads me to the third benefit of 12-week year planning is that the 12-week plans are tactical, not conceptual. When you plan in a 12-week cycle, when you plan over a 12-week year, there's a lot less uncertainty that you have to deal with, right? In an annual year, there's so much change, there's so much stuff going on and so much uncertainty that it's very difficult to plan at the tactical level very far out into the future. 5, 6, 8, 10, 12 months from now, it's really difficult to determine what are the actions I'm going to be taking in those timeframes to accomplish my goals because of all the uncertainty. right? And that's why a lot of annualized plans are worthless after the first 3 months. It's because the world's drifted so much, your best guesses back in January no longer apply. But when we plan in 12-week years, we can get away from some of those problems because an annualized plan is conceptual. It's objective, goal, and target based. It's the big picture of the stuff we want to get done. But the problem is you can't execute concepts. You can't execute objectives. You can't execute these big, wonderful concepts. All you can execute are tactics. And so because we plan in 12-week cycles, we can get down to the action level detail. We're not going to just talk about objectives. We're going to get down to the actions you're going to take each week for the next 12 weeks. So week 1 is going to have its set of actions, week 2 and week 3. So we're going to create a 12-week plan that defines the things you've got to get done over the next 12 weeks to nail your goals. And that's really powerful. Having a tactical plan versus a conceptual plan makes a huge, huge difference. But there's still only about a 50% chance you're going to hit your goals if you've got a good vision and a good plan. So we want to increase the odds way beyond that you're going to be successful this year. And so we're going to talk about the next discipline. Brian, you want to talk a little bit about the concept that process control?
You bet. I love what Mike Tyson, the boxer, said. He said, "Hey, what has the plan to get hit in the mouth?" And that's where process control comes in. Because as Michael said, you've got a vision, you've got a plan. It's still not enough. Process control is just our term for tools and events that we're going to insert into your environment so that you can lean on, right? Because I don't know if you've noticed, but some days you're more disciplined than others. And what happens is you get kind of this sound wave effect of performance. Some days you execute, some you don't. With process control, we're much more consistent. And so we don't have to rely solely on self-discipline. And so I want to talk about 2 elements of process control. I don't want to overwhelm you today, so I'm going to just talk about these 2 and they're the most powerful pieces. And the first is the weekly plan. So if you've been tracking, we've got this vision, this longer term vision. We bring it near term. We build a 12-week plan that's focused, that's tactical. And it's limited, right? It's limited in the number of goals. We talk about less is more because you have limited capacity. So 1 or 2, maybe 3 goals. Even at the tactic level, it's the least number of tactics to accomplish the goal. So it's very focused, as Michael talked about. That's broken out for 12 weeks. We're going to take one more step and bring it even more focused, which is on a weekly basis. And the weekly plan doesn't contain everything you do in your job or in your life. It's just what's due in the 12-week plan this particular week. And so in a sense, it's like a 1/12 slice of your 12-week plan. But by default, it has what matters most, because of the way it was built. You started with this long-term vision. You set goals that were most important to you live in that long-term vision. You built out the tactical plan, the most important actions to hit those goals. So by default now, this is the stuff that matters most. This is how you win the week. It doesn't matter what happens with your inbox, your voicemails, your emails, all of that. None of that matters. What matters is, does this plan get executed? If you work this plan, you're going to have a great week. If all the other stuff gets done and you don't get this done, all bets are off. So it really creates that focus. Again, it's a different mindset. It's a different way of operating. I'm not taking the day as it comes. I'm much more in control now. I start with the things that are in my plan. I build my calendar, my weekly calendar around that so that I can win the week. And it's really, really powerful. It's different than a to-do list. I have a separate to-do list. My to-do list, when I get time, I get to it. My weekly plan is what drives the week. The second piece of process control is study after study shown that if you're going alone, you're stacking the odds against yourself, that you are much more likely to succeed with peer support. In fact, there's one study we like because we met some of the researchers, and it was a study of heart patients that had bypass surgery. It actually made the cover of Fast Company magazine in an article called Change or Die. And so you might want to Google that. Really, really great study. But they had working with bypass patients. So one of the issues was, 1, it's pretty painful. 2, it's an expensive surgery. But the biggest concern was there's high relapse. So people go through this and then they relapse. So imagine now, you go in and your doctor unzips you and stuffs some stuff in, takes some stuff out, whatever, right? And then sews you back up and you come to and they say, listen, sport, if you don't change the way you're living, you don't change the way you're eating, the way you're exercising, in 2 or 3 years, you're not going to be here. That seems like a pretty big impetus to change. You either change or you're done. So what do you think most people did? Well, they changed. Every one of them changed initially. When they went back and resurveyed them a year later, 90% of them had reverted back to their old lifestyle habits. In a situation that is literally life and death, 90% reverted back. And so they said, this is unacceptable. We got to figure out how to keep these people on these lifestyle changes. So they started to involve them in peer support. They put them in small groups with a coach once a week to talk about how they were doing for 15 minutes, how they were doing with their results, how they were doing with their actions. And a year later, those people that were involved in those groups, they had an 80% success rate. 10% without it, 80% with it. It's no different for you in business or in your personal goals. If you're going it alone, you're stacking the odds against yourself. So we talk about a WHAM or a weekly accountability meeting. If you read our book, and when you get our book, you'll hear about this. This is that thing. It's getting together with a couple of peers and someone to facilitate that knows what they're doing, that can talk about how we're doing. And when you do that, you stay in the game. And if you're going to take new ground, the game's going to get uncomfortable at times. It's going to be difficult. So without that peer support, you're really, why would you do that? You got a 10% chance of succeeding. And even if you do, it doesn't make it sweeter. It just takes long. So again, different mindset, but process control, weekly plan, peer support. So we've got a vision, planning, process control. What's the next one, Mike?
Next one is scorekeeping, Brian.
All righty.
And I just want to add one thing. If you're thinking that the 12-week year at this point is really high stress and difficult, we hear the exact opposite for clients. When people are using the weekly plan and attending a weekly accountability meeting, their stress levels drop. They feel like they're more in control and they're seeing progress faster. So with all you've heard so far, the benefits are even beyond what we've talked about. With scorekeeping, I want to talk about the fourth discipline because it's really important. And yet a lot of times people don't like scorekeeping. I don't know why that is per se, but I have some ideas. And that's that, when we look at scoring ourselves, it can be a little uncomfortable because we can have the mindset that if I'm not scoring well, I'm not professional, I'm not successful, I'm not diligent, or whatever that is that the negative thinking that goes on when we score ourselves. It can keep us from scoring. But if we can't score, we can't get better because we can't track how we're making progress against our goals as well. If we're not tracking it, right? If we're not measuring it, we can't assess our progress. And if we can't assess our progress, we can't adjust and we can't get better in the work. So scorekeeping is a vitally important discipline of the 12-week year. And that's why it's included, because without scorekeeping, you really lose a lot of the power. So even though you may not like it, we ask you to lean in and embrace it. It's like if you're driving down the road and your gas gauge on your car is showing empty, that's a measurement, right? It's a measurement of the amount of gas in your tank. And so but with that measurement, we don't recoil, in shame and say, man, I'm a bad person. I didn't put gas in my car. No, we just look at that information and we go to the gas station, we fill up our tank. And so we're going to show you some measures that are kind of like that gas gauge for your execution. So we're going to look at a few things. First off, we're going to track our lead and lag metrics. And that may be a little bit confusing at first, but a quick way of thinking about that in terms of measurement is that 12 weeks happens fast. And so we want to know where we are every week of the 12-week year. And our lag measures are often tied to our goals. And so if we have a goal of $100,000 or $10,000, we're going to track dollars. That's a great lag measure. We should start seeing progress towards that over the 12 weeks. So lags are typically tied to our goals. And leads are more tied to the things that happen early in the 12-week year. So if you're in marketing, it might be something like opt-ins in your marketing funnel, right? That happens early before you close any business. And that might be a great thing to track if you're doing marketing that way. Or it might be the number of calories you're eating if you're looking to lose weight. It might be the number of miles you run if you're trying to lose weight. It might be the number of opening sales meetings if you're trying to drive revenue. Those things that happen early in the process are the lead measures, and the lags are typically tied to your goals. And so we want to have just a few measures for each of your goals that let us know where you are any time in the 12-week year. So if you need to adjust, you can, or if you want to know, should I keep going, you'll get that information. So lead and lags are vitally important, and they've got nothing to do with your self-efficacy. So, it's not like they're the grades you used to get in school where if you got a D, you were afraid to take the card home to your parents and try to figure out how to make a D look like an A or something, right? That's not what we're doing here. We're just taking information so we know how to behave during the upcoming week. And so the next thing I want to talk about a little bit is probably the most powerful score that you're going to track is going to be your execution score. So we're going to track your weekly execution score every week. So the weekly execution score is a lead measure in a sense, but it tells you what's going to happen next because it's a measurement of the percentage of tactics that were in your plan that were due last week that you actually got done, right? So you might not see any movement in your numbers, but other than the fact that you got those actions done last week. And when you do that, it's a great indicator that you're going to be successful over the next 12 weeks. And what we find is you don't have to be perfect. If you're scoring about 80% week in and week out, 80% of the tactics that we're due, you're getting done, you're typically going to be on pace to hit your 12-week goal. You don't have to be perfect. Got to be pretty good, but you don't have to be perfect. And that's one of the things that really changes the 12-week years. Most people don't track those lead metrics like the lead execution score, because that's a really powerful way to tell if you're going to hit your goals or not. Overall, though, what we want you to do is to track your lead and lag measures, to track them and score your weekly execution. And that gives you all the information you need every week to decide what to do. So if you're scoring well, right, you're scoring your execution at 80% or more, and you're moving your lead and lag metrics at the pace you need to hit your goal, you're going to know, I just got to keep going, right? I just got to keep doing what I'm doing. If you're falling short on your execution score, then maybe you want to go back and look at what's getting in the way. What tactics am I avoiding? What do I need to do differently next week to score better, right? And if I'm not moving my lags, if I'm scoring well and not moving my lags, then that says, hey, I'm executing my plan. You know, I'm doing a pretty good job, 80% and more, but my numbers aren't reflecting my execution. Then maybe you go back and you look at your plan and make changes to your plan, because you're working the plan, but the plan's not working. I don't want to do too much teaching there, but I want to give you the sense that no matter what your numbers are telling you, is going to point you directly at what you need to do that week to get back on track or to keep going. And if you're using metrics, you're going to go farther faster than you would if you're not tracking. So that's why it's the fourth discipline. It's really, really powerful. And we're going to show you how to create a couple lead and lag measures for your goals that let you accomplish your goals fast and not have to worry too much about tracking everything, because you don't need to track everything. Brian,
I think the key there, Mike, one of the key things you said is to let go of whatever the measures are telling you, right? Sometimes they look really good and you feel great. Sometimes they don't look so good, but that's the reality of it. And so just don't hang a lot of self-worth on it, because it's not a reflection of you as a person. If you're scoring low, doesn't mean you suck or you're a horrible person. Like Michael said, if your car's run out of gas, doesn't mean you're a horrible car owner or whatever, right? It's just feedback. And so think of it that way. But as Michael talked about, those two sets then allow you to have everything you need to adjust. Really powerful. I think, Mike, would you agree? I think the issue here is more around mindset than it is mechanics for most.
Absolutely. Folks. It's simple to do, but sometimes it's hard to confront, right? And I'd argue, Brian, if you can be honest with yourself and report out an execution score of 30%, let's say, right? Oh, I'm terrible. No. What that's telling you is, hey, I got 30% of things done last week. What do I need to do to get to 40 or 50 or 60%? It's going to guide you along the way to accomplish what's most important to you in life. Those are your friends, not your enemies.
Yeah, the mindset around it is look at the opportunity that I have. Yeah, great. All right, the fifth and final discipline is time use. Everything happens in the context of time. If you're not in control of how you use your time, you're just flat out not in control of your results. I mean, it really is that simple. Benjamin Franklin said, if we take care of the minutes, the years take care of themselves. And I think that's amazing. I mean, it makes sense. But what I found is all these things that crowd out my minutes. And there was a time I thought, when someday I'm going to be able to eliminate all that. And then I realized that's never going to happen. It's not about trying to eliminate all the distractions. It's about really carving out time for what matters most. And so we use a system called Performance Time, which uses time blocking to take back control of your day. Time to work strategically, to work on the business, not in the business. Time to handle all the low-level activities like voicemail, emails, all that stuff that if you don't have a way of kind of grouping those and dealing with them, they can consume your day. And then time away. Right? You need time off. You need margin in your day. You need margin in your week. You need time to get away from it. And so there is no better system. If there were, we'd be training it. But ultimately, it's about being intentional about what you say yes to and what you say no to. And so one of my questions is, though, there's some things you need to have in place in order to be effective with your time. So if you think about that, what's the first thing you need to know to be effective with your time? Priorities, that's close. What your goals are, absolutely. Not the first thing, though. Yeah, you got it. Emily and Joanna, what's most important? In a sense, it's really close to that. It's not so much what's most important, it's what you want. Right? The first thing you need to know to be effective with your time is, what do you want? Where have we talked about that? That's the vision discipline, isn't it? What do you want? The next thing is what's most important. That's the planning discipline. What matters most? That's planning. The next thing is, are you doing it? That's process control. The next thing is it producing? That's scorekeeping. So there's a sequencing to these disciplines. Otherwise, if we just trained you in performance time block, you get more efficient at the stuff that doesn't matter. So that's why we're all about you applying it as a system. Because if you pick one of these things, there'll be some benefit. But if you leave something out, there's a big hole in the bucket. When you apply it as a system, you get better. You get better every week. You get better every 12 weeks. Why? Because it has everything you need to get better. You'll know what's working, what's not working. You won't spend time and energy on what's not. You won't beat yourself up. This is how you overcome the procrastination. This is how you get through too many priorities, the distractions, the self-doubt, the fear. All of that, when we apply it as a system, has an effect that you're moving forward. And that's really, really powerful, because those actions, that progress then reinforces the thinking, the productive thinking around that. So it doesn't matter whether you're applying it as an individual or as a team. It's really powerful as a team because everyone's on the same page. There's clarity of expectations. There's transparency with respect to execution. There's evidence. So you have all the things you need to be effective as a team. As Jody found out, as Compass found out, it changes the conversations and the interaction and all of that. And it doesn't matter where the economy, we can't predict what's going to happen in 2024. Right now, it looks like it's going to be a pretty challenging year, but you can still be successful. And the 12-week year can help you do that, because as the economy shifts, you've got a system that's fluid, that's flexible. All right, so let's put you back to work, because this is a workshop. So on the handout, on page 1, you started with the baseline. I'm going to give you just half a minute or so. I want you to jot down some things that would be part of your long-term vision. So some things 5, 10 or more years in the future that you desire, that would make life really worth living for you. Can be material things, non-material things. And just notice you're thinking about that as you start to put stuff on the paper. Are you thinking that certain society tells you certain things, or your friends or your spouse or your partner or something like that? I want this to be from your heart, right? What matters to you? What would a great life lived look like 5 or 10 or more years into the future for you? So let me give you just a minute or so to jot down some of these things. We're just going to get this process started. We need a lot more time than this to really flesh this out, but we can get it started for you. You can continue it after the workshop. So I see some people already putting it in the chat, which is great. And again, these are longer term things, right? Become a jazz pianist. Michael, love it. Guide hunting trips for husband. Cool. Have a third child is a long-term goal too. I love it. Financial freedom. Yeah, life worth living. Even kind of flesh that out a little more. What's that? What would make a life worth living? What are some of those aspects of that? Travel, right? Where do you want to go? That kind of stuff. Buy property. Yeah, love it. Okay. So the thing about this is it should be emotionally compelling to you. It should, when you think about living into that should excite you. It should make you a little uncomfortable too, a little nervous. If not, you're not stretching enough. Because trust me, you're capable of more than you know. We've just seen it so many times personally and with our clients. So stretch a little bit. Be willing to get out, as Michael and I say, on the skinny branches, if you will. All right, let's go to the next page. The 12-week year is going to start January 8th. That's Monday, and it's going to go through the 31st. So we always start on a Monday and on a Sunday. So for the year, January 8th to March 31st, what do you want to make happen? Even though there's 2 lines there, you don't have to set 2 goals. Less is more. You have limited capacity. 1 goal is better than 2. 2 is better than 3. When you start to get more than 3, you're probably setting yourself up to fail. And I know the questions the chat's going to line up, but what about I got all this stuff I want to accomplish. That's great. You have limited capacity. You have limited time, limited energy, limited intellect. It's not a slam, it's a reality. So let's just, for this 12 weeks, let's try it different. Let's be great at a few things versus mediocre at many. So if you had to pick one goal for the next 12 weeks, one goal that would be more aligned with that longer term vision, one goal that you would celebrate at the end of it, one goal that could change your life, what would that one goal be? And let's state it as an outcome. Make it specific and measurable. It's not a thought. It's not a concept. I want an outcome that's specific and measurable. So 100,000 in revenue, great. That's what I'm looking for. 125,000 in sponsorship, you got it. Run a half marathon, Natalie, good. You guys got it. Make 600 a week. So Terry, how many times 12 weeks. What's the total of that? That would be the 12-week goal. And you can still have it as both 600 a week / X for the 12 weeks. 25,000 of FIT. Terrence, love it, love it. Run 30 minutes 3 times a week, eliminating sugar. Okay, Shannon. Here's the suggestion with that is I think that's tactical. What's the goal? Why do you want to run 30 minutes a week? Why do you want to eliminate sugar? See, if I set working out as a goal, guys, I'm going to ask you a question. I want you to respond to this. What's the problem if I set a goal of working out 4 days a week? What's the problem with that as a goal? Working out 4 days a week. What's the problem with that as a goal?
Target.
Too vague? Okay, so I'm going to work out an hour, 4 times a week. Not specific. That's not the problem. The problem with it is it's an action, not an outcome. Now, at one level, you could argue it's an outcome, but it's an action. And if I don't connect it to anything more aspirational, in 2 or 3 weeks, it becomes drudgery. This is why you guys set New Year's resolutions like working out and exercising, and in 3 weeks, 4 weeks, you're off it because it's not tied to anything more aspirational. I've yet to meet someone that their goal is to work out. It's to lose weight. It's to lose body fat. It's to get a 6-pack. It's to lower blood pressure. That's the goal. And so, Shannon, that's what I would suggest for you is what's the outcome you're after? All right, once you have that, Shannon, then your first action is going to be to do the running, and second action is going to be, no sugar or a certain amount of sugar. You're going to have to really define that though. So let's go to the bottom of page 2. What are the actions and what we call tactics, not concepts? So a concept would be diet. A tactic would be, consume 1,800, no more than 1,800 calories a day, drink half my body weight in water per day. See, when the concept of diet is probably going to turn into a handful of actions. That's why conceptual plans don't work, because diet is, it could be a number of different things. Maybe I download the Weight Watchers app. Maybe I enter my points in the app daily. Maybe I cut out all alcohol. That's a big commitment. Dry January, right? I mean, there's a series of actions there. That's why we got to get tactical. We got to get granular. And we're not going to put everything we can think of, just the critical few. Okay, so get you started on that. If you had a second goal, you're going to have to develop the tactical plan for both of those. But let's drop now out to the why. Why is this absolutely critical for you? Because if this is just a nice to have, guess what? You're wasting your time. You're going to spend a lot of emotional energy and you're not going to make much progress, which is how most people go through the year, go through life. I want a why. I want these actions. I want this goal to connect to the vision. I want to know why, the emotional side of that. Why is it important for you? And I want to see it in the chat. Get out of debt. Why Laura is getting out of debt? What does that do for you? What does that do for your mindset? What does it do for your peace of mind? What's the weight that comes off your shoulders to feel better? Expand on that, right? You got to connect with that emotionally if you're going to lean into this and you're going to take these actions. More confident. I love that, to feel better about myself, right? Provide security for my golden years. That's good. That's good. Now we're getting at it. Buy time, Robert. How precious, right? Health. So Sandy, what would it feel like to be healthy, to have the energy to wake up and not hurt and not be in pain? That's what I want to connect with. You got it? Everybody making sense? So it starts with that vision. You set a goal or two, you build out that tactical plan, you connect with the why. Really, really incredibly powerful. And Mike, anything on that before we go forward?
No, I think just really making sure that you've got ownership of your vision, Brian. I think the why is so important because it gives you the energy to do the things you need to do, even the days that you might not feel like doing them. So I just reemphasize what you said, Brian. It's powerful.
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to show you how this comes together. I'm going to use Achieve, which is our software, because everybody asks, how do you track this stuff? How does it all come together? We have software we built, and you don't have to have the software. I mean, you can do it on a legal pad, but at this point, sometimes people get overwhelmed with the disciplines and things like that. I'm going to show you how simple this is. With the 12-week year, we help you create a vision at 2 levels: long-term aspirational, 5, 10 or more years in the future. Then we bring it 36 months. And so you can see when you get 36 months out, it gets more specific. And there may be some business or career aspects tied into that. But the reason this is so important is because then we set our 12-week goals based on this. So there's a thread that carries through from that. So once that's created, and by the way, that's created one time. That's not something every 12 weeks you wipe clean and you start again. You may tweak it. The key is being connected to it, staying connected to it. First is creating it. The big thing is staying connected. But once we do that, then we build a plan. You can create an individual plan, which means by default, the execution's yours, or you can be part of a team plan. In our company, our leadership team, we have a team plan. We have a set of goals. Some of the tactics have my name, some have Miguel, some have Michael, some have Judy, some have Karen, right? I mean, that's a team plan. So this is an individual plan. This person, this is a sample, by the way, hire one new salesperson. That's the outcome. You can see the tactical plan. Call or talk to 5 centers of influence each week. And what they're looking for there is introductions to candidates. Call 5 resumes per day, 25 per week. Talk with one salesperson per week about referral bonus, get minimum. So you can see it's very granular, but these are the critical few. These are the actions that it takes to accomplish the goal. They've got lose 15 pounds, install Weight Watchers app on phone, track food daily, work out with weights 3 times a week, do 20 minutes of cardio, order superfoods, wheatgrass oils, take wheatgrass, right? So again, very specific, very granular. And then I think there's a team plan in here too, but that's once you set that up, that's set for 12 weeks. I mean, you may make some adjustments, but it's not like you're going to redo this plan every few weeks. It's locked and loaded. On a weekly basis, then it becomes really simple. 3 things you do on a weekly basis. You go in and you score your week. So in this example, Susan's in week 5. If it's Monday morning, she's going to go back. She's going to check off what got done in week 4. I got this stuff done. I had 3 interviews. So I'm tracking my lead and lag. She's tracking interviews. Her goal is to hire a person. Let's say she was stellar on her personal stuff here, and she lost 2 pounds. So she's tracking pounds lost, right? And she's checking that. So you can see it calculates a score. She's got her execution score. Now she goes to week 5. And what she's going to do is just print this. And it doesn't print out the tracking. It just prints out the tactical plan. What's due this week? And so what I do, I'm kind of old school. I print mine out. First thing I do is I calendarize it. When am I talking to those COIs? When am I calling these resumes? Because I'm going to start my week with this stuff. I'm going to let the rest of the week fill in around it. That's what makes it so powerful, because there will always be more to do than you have time to do it. So if you take the day as it comes, you're going to run out of day. You're going to run out of week. You're going to run out of year. When we start this way, we start with the big rocks, the rest of it fills in. At the end of the day, some stuff isn't getting done. Who cares? It's not the critical stuff. This is the critical stuff. So really simple process, starts with a vision. You build that one time. When you get to certain peaks, you may see new opportunities and tweak that, but it's not something you create new. The 12-week plan's created for the 12 weeks. You'll make some adjustments, but for the most part, on a weekly basis, you're coming in and you're scoring your week and you're printing your plan. We say plan for the week. It's not about planning from scratch, because otherwise everything that's urgent ends up in there. It's just printing your plan. And so, Mike, I don't know how much time you spend. I spend probably 5 minutes on the system every week. Yeah. Once our plan's in, it's not a lot of time, but man, it makes a difference, because I know how I'm executing. And then when we're meeting in our peer support group in our WAM, I've got data. I can talk about my results. I can talk about my execution score, and the team can press in and ask good questions and encourage me and challenge me. That's what it's about. All right, so I do that so you can see how it comes together. It's pretty simple. It's pretty straightforward. I think that's what makes it powerful. Sometimes when you hear it, it sounds like there's a lot of moving parts. On a weekly basis, it's really 3 things. It's score your execution, track your lead and lags. It's print your plan for this week and calendarize it, and then it's participate in peer support. That's the cadence, that's the routine. And then it's never end a 12-week year without assessing and locking and loading and celebrating. So there's a rhythm and a cadence to how the 12-week year works. Miguel, what did I miss there?
We have a lot of people asking about Achieve, Brian. How did they get access? You want to provide some guidance on that? A lot of people asking.
Yeah, so let's talk about that in a couple of minutes if we can. I'll show you how what resources we have for you. That's a great question, because people that use it perform better. And we spent hundreds of thousands of dollars building the system. We got an update coming to it. So you don't need to try and use spreadsheets and all kinds of convoluted ways to track it. achieve it is the way. And so if you can hold that question for a few minutes, that would be great. All right, anything else there then? Let me go back to this one here. All right, let me look at the clock here, see what we got. All right, I'm just going to take 2 minutes on this because we're a little tight on time. Michael said you got to own it. If you haven't got your book yet, when you get your book, the 12-week year, there's 2 chapters on accountability. If you ordered the Uncommon Accountability book, the whole book is on this concept. But and the reason why we wrote another book about accountability is because it's a very misunderstood concept. I think the vast majority of people in business and society don't understand what accountability really is. They associate it with negative consequences. Or you go home tonight, you look at the news, however you get your news, someone's going to have done something wrong and someone in authority is going to come out and say, we're going to hold this person accountable. And then what do they do with them? Well, they punish them, they fine them, they suspend them, they spank them, some form of negative consequence. And it's like that. It's like accountability and negative consequences are one and the same when they're not. They're very, very different. So write this down if you're taking notes. Accountability is not consequences. It's ownership. Accountability is not consequences, it's ownership. At the heart of accountability is free will choice. You always, always, always have choice. And so recognizing that choice and taking ownership of it. And then there's a whole nother level as a leader. Every organization we worked with, whether you're a leader in business, in your home, in your community, in your place of worship, right? They talk about holding others accountable. That's based on this notion that accountability is consequences, because what that means is when they don't do something they're supposed to do, we punish them. That's not accountability, that's consequences. If you're a leader, write this down. You'll never get discretionary effort with negative consequences. You'll never get discretionary effort with negative consequences. You get just enough to stop the consequences, but it comes with a lot of collateral damage. And so if you're a leader, stop holding your people accountable. I know that's counter to everything you've been taught, but you've been taught wrong because you're trying to hold your people accountable. It's impeding performance. Stop that. Hold them capable. What does that mean? It means you confront them with the freedom of choice that they have and the consequences, the natural consequences of those choices. How you think about accountability affects everything from your health, your relationships, your income, your happiness, your fulfillment. Scrub this notion of accountability as consequences. In the end, we choose our consequences. Accountability is choice, right? It's ownership based on free will choice. And so again, make sure you read those chapters. If you got the whole book, great. You're going to learn a ton about it. But I think this is a game-changing concept. When you understand accountability for what it is, it's probably the most empowering concept you have to live your best life. All right, Michael, a couple things.
So,
then,
Brian talked about this, but I just want to reestablish for a moment. Think about your 12-week goals, your vision. How important is that stuff to you? I mean, is that nice to have stuff, or is that absolutely vital for you? I mean, you think about it. Some people want to increase revenue. Some people want to lose weight. Some people wanted to get a promotion. Somebody wanted to heal a marriage, right? Those things can be priceless. And if you think that your goals are priceless, go ahead and put just 12-week year in the chat. Just let me see the number of you folks that think your goals are. There we go. All right. So those are priceless because they're the things that represent the most important aspect of your life. Your vision and your goals represent what's most important for you to deliver in your life. And I'm going to share with you some steps to crush your goals over the next 12 weeks. And they're pretty simple. The first is that you want to make sure that you're working. Go ahead and put the next one up, Brian. If you're working from your 12-week goal and plan, it's not just an idea that you then put on a shelf. It becomes the way that you get things done. So you want to make sure you're working every week from your 12-week goal and your plan. Okay. And how do you do that? You do that by using a weekly plan, right? So the second step is to work from your 12-week goal and plan using a weekly plan. Go ahead and advance the slide. There we go. And so what does that mean? It means you don't have to execute all the tactics in your plan. You just got to make sure you're working from a weekly plan that has the tactics that are due this week. It's not overwhelming. People tell us it actually lowers their stress levels because they know that they're doing the most important things, getting the most important things done in their life every week. It just makes them feel more comfortable and less stressed out, right? There's more work to do than we have time to get it done. But if we get that stuff done, everything changes. Okay? And then the third thing we want you to do is we want you to really kind of score your execution, right? It's that thing that sometimes people step back from, but if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. So score your execution. Score your execution and track your lead and lag metrics. And then the last thing we want you to do is reach out, get some peer support, right? Peer support is a powerful way that keeps us on our goals and on our plans a lot longer. Brian talked about the fact that 80% or more of the heart patients were still on their diet and exercise routines a year, 2 years later if they were part of a peer group. And so make sure that you're peer up, because it really increases the odds you're going to be successful.
All right, so simple process, but here's your challenge, right? Everything in your environment is designed to continue to do what you've done, which means you continue to get what you've got. And so one of three things is going to happen when you leave here. You're going to be excited and think this is great, but you're going to do nothing with it. That's a big portion of you. That's what you're destined to do. Another group is going to leave here and they're going to dabble. They're going to pick a few things they like, and they're going to start, and within 4, 5, 6 weeks, they're going to bail on it. And they're going to go, well, the 12-year doesn't work. It does work. You didn't apply it. And the third group is going to apply it and get results. If you want to be part of that third group, you're going to need some support, because again, everything in your environment is designed to keep you working the way you've been working. And that's what makes change so difficult, is everything you're doing currently, even though it may not be producing what you want, it's familiar and it's comfortable. And so if you're going to really apply the 12-week year in a powerful way, in a way that makes a difference for you, like it has for tens of thousands of people just like you, to where it overcomes the doubt, the fear, the procrastination, the ineffective time use, the inconsistency, all of that, I really think you need some support. And so we have a solution for you that I'd like to tell you about, but I'd like your permission to do that. So if you're absolutely committed to your goals and you're interested in hearing about how we can support you, type yes in the chat. And we've got over 1,000 people on the workshop. I want to see 1,000 yeses. Thank you, guys. Yeah, appreciate that. I want you to hear our heart. Our heart is to help you. That's why we do what we do. We can do a lot of things and make money. We do what we do because we love helping people, and we've been blessed to do that. As Mike said, our book's in 15 languages. You see our communities worldwide. We're all about changing lives. So let me tell you about the 12-week year accelerator program. And this is for people that are done with going it alone, right? You're tired of the false starts. You're tired of falling short. You want to have an edge. You want to achieve more in less time, right? You don't want to have to grind it out anymore. You want to have fun. You want to be working at your best and achieve what you're truly capable of. So the first thing I'll tell you about the 12-week year accelerator is that it's not a one-time training. You're not going to show up to a 3-hour training and then we're going to give you a certificate and you're off and running. We've done that in the past, and it works with a small percentage of the folks, kind of like the study on the heart patients. This training, this process is 12 weeks. We're going to be with you for 12 weeks and beyond. Why? Because we know. Because here's what happened. We were doing this for large organizations like Encompass, like Medtronic, like Allstate, like State, these big companies, MassMutual, Paycor, these groups like this. And we got great results, but it was very expensive for them. There were high 6-figure, 7-figure tickets. And so Miguel challenges, he says, what are you doing for the smaller person, for the small business or the individual? And so this is the program that we took. We said, okay, what are we doing for the big clients and how do we make that work for the smaller groups? And that's what we did. So the 12-week accelerator is everything we did for the large clients, but packaged in a way where it's affordable for you. So it starts with 12-week year accelerator training. So for the first 6 weeks of your training, you're going to meet once a week in a group of peers with one of our certified coaches. Our coaches are expert coaches. They're expert in the 12-week year. And so 1 hour a week, they're going to walk you through the 12-week year system as a building block approach. So week 1 is vision. They're going to take you through some exercises. You're going to build that long-term. You're going to build that near-term. You're going to have this emotional connection. Week 2, we're going to build a plan. We're going to help you sort through, gosh, you want to do 10 things. How do we sort that down to 1 or 2 things? How do you build a tactical plan? How do you keep that focused? So it's this building block approach. So the training is you can learn it and consume it. It's not like drinking from a fire hose where we're going to go through all 5 disciplines in 3 hours. No, it's an hour a week. And then you begin to install it into your business, into your life. And so you're there every week talking about, hey, what worked, what didn't work last week. And right, it's recorded. If you can't make it, They're recorded. I really want you to show up live though, because you get your questions answered. These aren't groups of 100, 200, 30 people in a group at most. So you got a group of peers, like-minded, all trying to advance different industries, which is really powerful because you get different ways of thinking. What's commonplace in one industry is breakthrough in another, and vice versa. So that's the first 6 weeks. Really, really powerful. It allows you to learn in segments so that you can assimilate it into your life, into your business. The second 6 weeks then, by the way, that's about a $2,000 value, just so you know. We're going to bundle all of it for you though. The second 6 weeks is accelerator coaching. This is now same group, same coach, only moved to every other week. So we're going to give you time to get a little messy with it. If you think about the first 6 weeks as training, the second 6 weeks is really mastery. So you're coming back, your coach is there, your peers are there, you're getting real-time coaching on your situation, what's working, what's not working, how do you apply it more effectively. So this is about where we start to establish the habits and routines so that you don't revert back to what you've always done. Because when things get difficult, that's the tendency. That's the normal tendency. We revert back to what's comfortable, what's familiar. That's why we're with you for 12 weeks. Really powerful. Do you see that? You've got the training, 6 weeks of training, 6 weeks of coaching. You like that? You see the power in that? Yeah, Jen does, Eunice does. You bet. Absolutely. Absolutely. This is what we did with these large clients. That's why it works so well. That's about a $2,000 value. But that's not all we did for the live clients or the large clients. We gave them the software. So you're going to get access to the Achieve software for 12 months, where you can set up your vision, you put in your goals. It's going to do everything I just showed you and more for you. Okay. The people that use it stay on track. They execute better. So you're going to have access to that. So you've got the training, the coaching, the software. The software alone is about a $1,000 value. That's not all we did for the large clients. So that's not all we're doing for you. 12-week training portal. You're going to have access to on-demand videos and handouts to reinforce and refresh. So after the first 12 weeks, you're still not alone. You've got that portal. You've got those resources. Let's say you're going to do a plan again. You might want to go back to that module and revisit that so you get the nuances of planning. Planning is one of those things that it's a skill set. And every time you do it, if you apply yourself, you get better and better and better. You get your head around what's the difference between a goal and a tactic and how to best structure those. 12-week community. We've got to get you into our community, into a community of people that are periodized, that are thinking in 12-week segments. It's a different way of thinking. It's not going to be like flipping a switch. Everything you've done to this point is annualized. So we need to get you around a community of like-minded people that are working around the 12-week mindset, that are living the 12-week mindset. There's encouragement, there's inspiration there. You'll have access to a private Facebook group where we're posting up some suggestions. You'll be posting up what you're struggling with, what you're working, and encouraging and inspiring one another. You can see in the chat, we've got a great community. This is a whole nother level of it. The portal's about $1,000. That community to me is priceless because it changes your mindset and helps keep moving forward. And then the last thing we did for the large clients is mentorship. So Michael and I are going to run a group call for you, where you'll have access to us during those 12 weeks. And so you'll be able to ask us anything you want, what's working, what's not working, opportunities. These are really great calls because they're really rich in terms of learning. We're learning from one another. It gives us an opportunity to just go deep in some areas and really deepen your understanding of how the 12-week year works and why it works. That by itself is about a $5,000 value. So you got almost $11,000 of value here. And this is why we charge big companies, 7 figures to do these programs. Obviously, we're not going to charge you that. We whittled it down to get it to a price where the money is not going to be an issue for you. I promise you. So the whole thing, all of that is $997, or cash flow's tight. You can make 3 payments even. Okay. So 3 payments or $997. The money's not an issue. This is not an expense. If you're thinking of it as expense, forget it. It's not an expense. It's an investment. This is going to have a huge return for you. The average person has a 6 to 10-fold improvement, not percent, fold. Now, the attorneys hate when I say that because we can't guarantee that. But if you engage, this will be one of the best investments you make. Allstate, the president of Allstate, a multi-mega billion-dollar company, said the 12-week year was the best investment they had ever made. Okay, we have other large companies have said that, tens of thousands of individuals. It's the same for you. Okay. 12weekyearaccelerator.com is where you can sign up. We've got some bonuses though, because we want you to get involved. So we want to entice you with everything we can to help you get involved. Miguel, talk about the event only bonus.
Yeah, guys, some people join late and they're like, I'm sure this is a recording. Guys, we're live. This is January 3rd. We just started the year. It's a live event. So many people are in already. Congrats, all of you already in. So we got some bonuses, like Brian said. The first major bonus that we have is one-on-one plan review by Brian or Michael. So the heart behind this is so many of you guys have goals, right, around growing your sales, or launching a business, writing a book, or managing a team. It doesn't matter what walk of life you're in or what niche. Brian, Michael, you've worked probably with almost every industry, almost every niche, you know, by now. Would you agree? Thousands of goals you've seen. Yep. So how can we make this bulletproof? So they people pay, you know, $20,000 to hire one of these guys, you know, for to speak, right? So what you're getting is one-on-one plan review, right? So once you build your 12-week year plan, you're going to be able to submit it directly and then get feedback on it, right? So maybe one nugget, you might get one nugget. Maybe you have too many goals, too many tactics. They'll give you feedback one-on-one. You cannot hire this separately. Don't send us an email. You cannot get this separately. You only get here this today. So let me know in the chat if all this whole offer was for them to review your plan and help you, really help you, bulletproof, okay? Your 12-week year plan. Would it make it worth it? Let us know in the chat. These guys have been at it for 20 years. Oh, if all this did was really just help you make a bulletproof plan, would it make it worth it? The chat is flying. I cannot keep up. But yes, exactly, guys. That's why we added that. All right. Back to you, Brian. We got more.
So once again, how do they qualify for that?
Yes, thank you. So you get access to this when you pay in full today. Okay, so when you pay in full today, that's the bonus. You'll see it. I'll share the link. The chat is flying. Where's the link? Where's the link? Where's the link? Here's the link. Exactly. So that's a bonus for that when you pay in full today. Go ahead, Brian.
Great, great. So I know some of you are thinking maybe you're new to the community, you don't know us, and maybe you've bought stuff online before and it was really disappointing. Yeah. So here's our guarantee. We guarantee your satisfaction. If you go through the 12-week year training, you attend the sessions, you do the stuff, you get into that, you're not happy, we'll make it right. We'll let you re-audit or we'll give you your money back. Okay. Who does that? You're lucky to get a 30-day guarantee. This is 12 weeks. If you go through the program and you're not satisfied, we'll give your money back. Okay. It's just, and when we do that, because we know you're going to do amazing things with it. That's how we can make that offer, because we know it works. This isn't a program where we tee you up for the next sale and the next sale and the next sale. This is going to change your world. It's going to change your business. It's going to change the way you operate. It's going to change your life. And we guarantee your satisfaction. So we take the risk. There's no risk to you at this point. All right, but there's some more stuff. Fast action. We love to reward action. Some people have already signed up. The first 50 to enroll are you going to get lifetime access to Achieve, the software. And that includes all the updates, future updates. As long as that system exists, you'll have access to it. No additional fees. First 50 to enroll, lifetime access to Achieve, 12weekyearaccelerator.com. That's the software I walked you through that shows you how to, sets up everything with your vision, your plan, your scoring, all of that stuff. So first 50, lifetime access.
Hey, Brian, let me say something about that, guys. So guys, we all have memberships, whether you have Netflix, cables, you pay your cars, right? We spend tens of thousands of dollars, in our lifetime on memberships. What you're getting today is what we like to call Results Flex, okay? Results Flex for life, okay? So this is the very thing that's going to pay for every other membership that we own. And Brian, just to say it one more time, they won't get charged a yearly membership as you upgrade the platform, as you make it like no fees, no renewal fees ever, correct?
Correct. Yep.
All right. And they're getting it for a lifetime.
Kind of crazy. There should be some sort of little fee or something, but there's not.
All right. So these software guys took years, hundreds of thousands of dollars. They've tried it all. You've tried spreadsheets, right? You've tried manual things. It's really making it easy so you can score in 5 minutes or less a week. Remember, 80%, when you score 80% or higher, we feel pretty confident you can reach your goals, right? So, Brian, back at you.
Yeah. So let me tell you what happens when you sign up. You're going to get immediate access to the online resources. So, you get access to that training portal with the videos and stuff like that. You'll get access to the Achieve software right out of the gate so you can start poking around with it, and you'll get an invite to the private community. So you want to follow that link and sign up for that. That'll all be in the first email. So there's a lot in there. Make sure you read it. Just don't skim it, right? Be prepared, read that. You're going to get a second email then that'll be about group selection. And again, the groups are not 100 or 200. There's 30 or less, which is a good number we found. It's enough that you get great interaction, but it's still enough where you get what you need from the coach. There'll be different times and days to select from, so they're not all on Monday at noon. You can pick a day and a time that works for you. And once you lock that in, now you're in your group. You'll get an invitation from your coach then with the Zoom information and all of that. We are doing orientation on Friday, January 12th at 11 a.m. Eastern. I think Michael's going to personally do that for you. If you can't make that, it will be recorded. But that's just level setting, making sure you've got everything you need and you're ready to jump in. The very next week, the training starts. So the transformation begins every week, same time with your group, with your coach, that building block approach. They are recorded again. If you miss one, you can catch the recording. I really want to encourage you to show up live. It's always better live. You can get your questions answered. You hear the nuances in the conversation, all of that. But that's what happens. So as you get involved, by the way, Michael mentioned we were ranked number one by Global Gurus for systems, for training systems in the world. We were also ranked number one individuals for what we do. Lots of testimonials here. I know we're running out of time, so I don't want to go through them. You can see them on the screen, but these are people that went through a similar workshop and then took the risk of getting involved and had amazing results for it. And we could fill the whole webinar with just these testimonials because we have that many. And so I know some of you are like, well, I'm different. I can see how it worked for Steve and for Jason and for Crystal, but nothing ever works for me. The 12-week year will work for you. If you get involved and you do what we ask you to do, the 12-week year will work. That's what makes it so beautiful. It's worked in every walk of life at every level. And we've worked with so many people that came to us with doubts, with fears, that have stumbled before. Again, we take all the risk. Get involved. What I would say is just make sure when you get involved, you're engaged. Stay committed to your goals. Just commit to the process. And you'll see in 12 short weeks, the change is amazing. This one I want to share with you, the Sangeeta, because this is an example of a lady here, this one right here, who had a lot of doubts. And she got involved, and this was on the mentoring call. She said, guys, Accelerator, my coach, has me accomplishing things I couldn't even imagine before this. I can't believe I'm where I'm at right now. Everyone around me is surprised to see the changes in me. And she was just lit up. And it was because she had found her group. She developing the confidence. She overcame those doubts and those fears and all those things that can get in the way. So take the plunge. We take the risk. Let's see. Probably time to announce the winner. Someone's going to get this whole package for free. And Miguel, I don't envy you with the chat. As much as I could keep up, there was great participation. But we've got to pick a winner.
We got to do a safety announcement first here, Brian. Paula Wilson said, out of breath, running downstairs to get my purse, stubbed my toe, totally worth it, lol, like LL. Like, thank you for sharing, Paula. Brian, we blew past the 50. I mean, you guys have seen the chat, and this is a live event one more time. It's not recording. So you guys saw how many new accelerators we have, Brian. What can we do? So many people asking, hey, I'm going to get in if I get the lifetime access. Am I part of the lifetime access? I'm getting blown up with messages on that, Brian. What can we do for people still here? We have still over 1,000 people here, live. What can we do for them, Brian?
What do you want to do? You just want to make it available to anyone who signs up now?
Yeah, I think we should. Exactly.
Okay.
So
let's do that then. So don't worry about the 50. If you're signing up now, if you're running to get your purse or your wallet or whatever it is, if you get in the next hour, we'll honor the lifetime Achieve subscription. Because it sounds like we blew past the 50. So listen, guys, we're here to help you. We want to make a difference for you. And I know Achieve is a powerful tool as part of the process. So happy to do that for you. If you sign up, within an hour, you'll get the lifetime access. Yes. Happy to do that.
Yes. And I'll share an email to, wow, I cannot even, I don't know if you guys will see the email, but it's angela@12weekhere.com. So people asking, can you take PayPal? Can you do this? Can you that? Like different unique circumstances, right? We know who's live here. We'll honor you guys. Like we're not trying to twist anyone's arm here, but send us an email to angela@12weekhere.com with your questions, right? Send us an email.
Oh, by the way, we'll honor that lifetime bonus even if you're on the payment program. You don't have to pay.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Thank you, Brian. So even if you're on the payment plan, okay, we'll honor the lifetime access to Achieve. Okay. So guys, Brian, today's I want to win. Somebody, that's awesome. So today's winner, first of all, I want to just congratulate everybody who showed up here. You know who you are. You responded, you did the exercises, you know who you are. And we had a lot of people show up today. And that just says a lot about this crowd today. They showed up fully today, and that's how they're going to show up the rest of the year. So we're incredibly proud and honored to have you guys here today, and we appreciate you guys for showing up today. So whoever we select, this is not a reflection of that this person did more or less than you did, okay? We did see someone who modeled, right? Like many of you who modeled. Let me see if this person is live first, because we
must be present to win. That's right.
Yes. 1 second here.
You might have to go with your backup. There were lots of great ones to choose from, though. So
1 second here, guys. 1 second here. 1 second. There's so many names. Okay. This person is here. This person is here. Okay, sorry. So many M's. We got over 1,000 people here. Okay, live. So this person is here today. Okay, so this person role modeled what we think are some of the core values that we like to see in Accelerator. Okay, so many of you guys are saying, hey, can I assemble my own community? Can I assemble this thing? Like these are the kind of people that tend to join, Accelerator. And this person may